Dear viewers, this is the story of a humble black cleaner who walked into a rich man's mansion and found more than Dushji found a little boy living in darkness. In a house ruled by money, rules, and pride, doctors had said, impossible. But one woman's gentle hands and old family wisdom would test everything his powerful father believed about healing, love, and worth. What began as a simple job turned into a quiet fight for hope, a secret that grew stronger night after night, and a truth bold enough to shake a city and a father's name. Stay with me until the end, because what happens in that mansion will touch your heart in ways you don't expect. And if you love stories full of raw emotion, suspense, and unforgettable moments, please like this video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Let's begin. Dad, what color is the sky? Noah's small voice sliced through the quiet office. Marcus Ellington, head of one of Seattle's wealthiest families, felt his chest squeeze. How do you describe colors to a child who has never seen them? Noah was only 9, living in a $15 million estate, yet his world was all night. He'd been born with blindness the best specialists had given the final word, incurable. The optic nerve was ruined. Marcus had thrown more than $3 million at trials and experts' clinics in Germany, surgeons in Seoul, gene therapy teams in Houston. Nothing. Noah still felt his way along the halls with open palms, bumping into chairs, needing a hand for every step. Sir, excuse me. A careful voice came from the doorway. I'm Alma Brooks, the new cleaner. Marcus barely glanced up from his laptop. A black woman in her 60s, gray hair in a neat bun, a faded blue uniform, a mop in worn hands. To him, she was just another agency temp. The house manager will brief you. And stay away from my son, he said, cold, turning back to contracts. Alma nodded. But when she saw Noah in the corner hugging a teddy bear, something warm rose in her eyes, a softness Marcus had never seen in the expensive doctors passing through his home. Hi, baby, she whispered, crouching to his height. What's your name? Noah, the boy answered, turning toward the new voice. You sound different. Marcus exhaled sharply. Alma, keep your distance. Noah, to your room. Yet Alma's gaze held steady, calm like someone carrying old secrets no textbook could teach. As Noah stood to go, she said gently, sometimes, son, the darkest hour is right before the light. Marcus frowned. What cleaner talks like that? And why was Noah smiling for the first time in weeks? That night, while Noah slept, Alma prayed in the tiny room she'd been given at the back of the property. In her worn cloth bag lay a small glass jar of ointment her grandmother had taught her to make decades ago. An old family recipe, many would call it superstition. Alma knew better. Not every cure grows where money looks. If you're feeling this story of hope, remember to subscribe, because what happens next in that house will test what you think is possible. Days settled into a routine Marcus controlled like a clock. Alma clocked in at 6 a.m. to clean the upper floors, quiet, invisible. But Noah started waiting for the sound of her soft steps in the hallway. You came back, he'd whisper. I keep my promises, she'd answer, dusting as they talked low. From the stair landing, Marcus watched, annoyed. In a video call with investors from Tokyo, he muted when laughter drifted in from the garden, a sound he hadn't heard in months. Outside, Alma sat with Noah on a bench, letting him touch leaves smooth, jagged, wax-naming them by feel. Noah smiled after each new texture. Alma. Office. Now. He shut the door harder than needed. I told you stay away. My son needs professional therapy, not. He searched for words sharp enough to cut, not chatter from someone untrained. Hands folded, voice steady, Alma said, "Mr. Ellington, I only talk to him while I work. The boy is lonely. Donoa has the best. Dr. Patel charges 1,000 a session. He does not need small talk from a cleaning lady." Marcus didn't know Alma grew up in rural Georgia, where her grandmother Aunt Leela was the community healer. As a child, Alma watched the old woman blend herbs from the yard, whisper prayers over aching eyes and tired bones. "Some cures begin with care, not classes," Aunt Lila always said. She taught Alma recipes handed down through 5 generations of black women who mended people when doctors wouldn't cross town lines. "With respect," Alma said, "your son is sad. Sadness doesn't answer to money." The boldness made Marcus clench his jaw. "You're here to clean, not counsel. Speak to Noah again, and you're gone." But Alma had stood firm before. She had cleaned mansions where people saw through her, marched in Selma, raised 3 kids alone after a factory accident took her husband. Marcus Ellington was just another rich man who thought wealth was wisdom. That evening, when Marcus left for a dinner meeting, Alma slipped to Noah's room. He hugged his teddy, face empty with quiet worry. "May I come in, baby?" "I thought Dad fired you." "Your daddy doesn't scare me," she said softly. "Men like him don't scare me anymore." She sat on the bed. "I brought something special." From her apron she pulled a tiny cloth sachet. "My grandmother said some plants keep sunlight inside them." "Smell." Noah breathed in lavender and other gentle greens. "It smells like calm." "Good. Now close your eyes close them to everything else. Breathe. Tell me what you notice." Silence. Then Noah's face changed. "Alma, there's a light. Small, but there." "What kind?" she asked, heart racing, voice even. "A little gold star. Inside my head, but it feels real." Alma knew she was watching what doctors couldn't measure. Aunt Lila had said, "Hope is the hinge that lets healing open." "That light will grow," Alma said. "Our secret, okay?" In the days that followed, Marcus saw odd shifts. Noah walked with more confidence, hit fewer tables, sat straighter during those costly weekly tests. "Interesting," Dr. Patel said, peering through a scanner. "Pupillary response is slightly improved. Our new trial may be taking hold." Marcus allowed himself a smile. The $50,000 add-on to the program must be working. He'd never connect his son's change to a cleaner's whispers. But Alma knew Noah was changing because, for once, someone talked about what was possible, not what wasn't. Each night, when Marcus left, she went upstairs and put 2 careful drops of the homemade blend at the corner of Noah's Eyesy, the same recipe Aunt Lila had used on elders with clouded lenses back home. "Why are you helping me?" Noah asked one night. "Because I see what your father hasn't learned to see," Alma said. "Light doesn't show up for money, it shows up for faith." While Marcus poured fortunes into experts, his son's turning point came from the rough hands he most dismissed. Every slight only stiffened Alma's resolve. Love can notice what pride refuses to look at. She kept notes in a little, time-worn book she hid under her mattress. March 15th, Noah told Light from shadow in the West Hall. March 22nd, recognized my outline from 10 feet. Each step had a date, a time, a witness, even if the witness didn't know a miracle was unfolding. Unaware of the quiet work inside his own walls, Marcus staged a press event in the great room. Reporters from the Seattle Times and a national network filled gold-trimmed chairs as he, sharp in a Navy suit, spoke with practiced pride. "My boy Noah is responding extremely well to the advanced protocol I brought from Johns Hopkins," he announced. "We've invested $2.5 million this year alone. The results speak for themselves." Dr. Patel nodded. "This custom protocol represents the leading edge of neuro-ophthalmology." From the corner, Alma refilled cups with a blank face. Noah sat up front, smiling shyly toward the hot lights he could now sense, even if he couldn't fully see. When someone asked about daily care, Marcus didn't pause. "We have the best in the country Harvard-trained therapists, top psychologists, an elite team. What about caregivers at home?" Another reporter pressed. "Our staff is strictly operational," Marcus said lightly. "Not trained for complex medical routines." Heat crept up Alma's neck. She remained still. Noah kept turning toward her through the interviews, like a sunflower tracking a familiar warmth. Cameras caught the movement. No one knew what it meant. Later, Alma went to Noah's room. He was buzzing. "Alma, I saw the camera lights. They shine different from the sun." "That's right," she said, opening her notebook. "Now hear me. What you're seeing isn't coming from your dad's expensive plan." "What do you mean?" Noah tilted his head. "My grandmother, Aunt Lila, taught me some healing starts in the heart, not the hospital. The drops I use come from plants she grew in her yard." She showed him a faded photo of an old black woman smiling beside a wild green garden. "She helped hundreds the doctors refused or couldn't help. Why doesn't Dad believe that?" Noah asked, touching the picture. "Because he was taught only expensive things matter," Alma said. "He never learned how power hides in simple places." That night, Alma called her sister Ruth in Atlanta, a retired nurse who had spent years recording cases of traditional care that never made the journals. "Are you sure?" Ruth asked. "A man with that kind of money can ruin you." "He was losing that child on the inside," Alma said, watching her reflection in the window. "Not to blindness, to neglect. Now he's blooming." "Then document everything," Ruth said. "If he drags you to court, proof saves you." So Alma began taking careful photos with Noah's permission. Noah moving down the hall without stumbles, finding objects farther away, smiling as shapes clicked into place. Each image had a date stamp. The proof grew undeniable. Meanwhile, Marcus turned up the self-promotion. At a dinner with executives, he bragged, "You wouldn't believe Noah now, he's practically cured. Cost a fortune, sure, but that's why we build empires." A guest asked, "What about daily care? That must be intense." Marcus waved it off. "We have a team. The real work is the experts." In the kitchen, Alma poured after-dinner coffee. Each boast hardened her plan. Tell the truth when the time came. One night, the house quieted and Noah did something no one expected. He came down for water on his own. Marcus, in his office, heard steady steps and went to look. In the kitchen, Noah poured like he'd done it forever, his hands sure, in a space he'd memorized by touch and growing sight. "Noah, how did you?" "I made it down myself," Noah beamed. "Everything's clearer." Alma appeared in the doorway from the back. "Evening, Mr. Ellington." "I heard a sound." "Alma," Noah said, brighter. "I showed Dad I can do stairs." Marcus watched. Unsettled by the way Noah leaned toward Alma, by the different smile she drew from him. "Noah, back to bed," he said. After Noah left, Marcus faced Alma. "How long have you been here?" 3 months. "And my son, has he always been this attached?" "Children know who truly cares," Alma said, steady. "They keep that sense when adults lose it." The words stung. Marcus left without reply, for the first time unsure what he didn't know inside his own home. Alma went back to her room, knowing secrets don't last forever. Soon she'd have to show that Noah's healing had come through her hands and that Marcus's pride sat on a lie she'd allowed to stand until Noah was safe. She wrote a final line in her notebook. He's beginning to suspect. Noah is close to whole. Time to prepare the reveal. The reveal arrived on an ordinary morning. Noah rushed downstairs, something unthinkable a few weeks earlier. "Dad, I can see the garden colors from my wintergreen trees, the blue pool, and the red flowers Alma planted." Marcus nearly dropped his cup. "Red flowers?" "The ones Alma planted under my window so I could practice colors," Noah said, unaware he'd set off the first explosion. Marcus's mind raced. Alma had never asked to plant anything. How did Noah know? And how could a blind child see that detail? "Noah, go play outside. I need to speak to Alma." When Alma came into the kitchen, Marcus's stare was fierce. "Tell me exactly what you've been doing with my son." She drew a breath. Secrets had done their job. The child was ready. "Your boy was fading," she said. "Not from blindness, from being left alone inside. I gave him what your doctors couldn't time, touch, attention. That's not an answer. How did he see flowers you planted in secret?" Alma reached into her apron and set the worn notebook on the counter. "I have been healing him 3 months with the home remedies my grandmother passed down, with patience you didn't have, and with faith your accounts can't buy." Marcus grabbed the book and flipped dates, notes, photos. March 15th, light versus shadow. March 22nd, recognized my outline from 10 feet. April 2nd, identified the pool's blue. "That's impossible," he muttered, but he no longer sounded sure. "Impossible is what you told yourself while you claimed wins you didn't earn," Alma said evenly. "Every press event, every interview built on a story that wasn't yours. I kept records." Noah ran in, froze at the tension. "Why are you mad? Did I do something wrong?" Marcus looked at his son, really looked. The boy was different. Eyes lively, movements certain, smiles true. "Tell me the truth," Marcus said, voice thin. "Who helped you see doctors or Alma?" Noah looked from father to Alma. The answer hurt to speak. "Alma, Dad. She put drops in my eyes at night, taught me how to feel the world, told me to believe. The doctors used needles and said it was hopeless." Silence fell. Marcus felt the floor slide. Months of interviews and back-patting, every claim pinned to his money gone. "You made me a fool," he said to Alma, shaking. "No," Alma said, calm as a bell. "You did that when you decided love had no value, because it came from someone you counted as less." Marcus's phone rang. His press aide, "We have a problem. The Seattle Times is running a story tomorrow, documents and photos about where Noah's recovery really came from. The headline is rough. This could destroy your reputation." He hung up, hands trembling. "You leaked?" he demanded. "I didn't have to," Alma said. "Truth breathes. After your last interview, a reporter checked dates. Your son's progress lined up with my first danat, your new protocol. By afternoon, calls were constant, investors, board members, reporters asking for comment. Social feeds lit up. Arrogant millionaire steals credit from black woman who healed his son." Noah, scared of the noise, stayed close to Alma. "Why is everyone shouting?" "You didn't do anything wrong," she soothed. "You told the truth. Truth shakes people who've lived on lies." Watching his boy stand with Alma, Marcus burned. You planned this to ruin me." "I planned to help a child," Alma said, her voice firm, dignified. "If that showed your pride for what it is, that's on you." She knelt to Noah. "Baby, I have to leave now. Remember what I told you, the light's already inside you. No one can take it." "Don't go," Noah cried, eyes bright with clean tears. "Please. I can't stay here, but we'll always be friends." As Alma gathered her few things, cameras gathered outside the iron gates. Within hours, Seattle would know he had lied, stolen credit from the only person who loved his son purely, and mocked her in public. Dr. Patel canceled future sessions. "Marcus, the clinic can't be tied to this," he said. Meetings fell apart. Partners hesitated. Years of image collapsed. The last cut came from Noah, who stood in the office doorway and spoke with clear, young courage. "Dad, you said people like Alma don't matter. She gave me what your money couldn't she? Made me believe I deserved to see." Alma stepped through reporters and flashbulbs with her head up. Marcus realized he'd lost more than reputation. He'd lost his son's trust and a chance to learn that wealth had never lived in his accounts, but in the rough, faithful hands he despised. 6 months later, the Ellington estate sat on the market with a huge sign. Marcus had lost 60% of his investors. The consulting arm folded. Multi-million-dollar contracts vanished. Headlines kept swinging. CEO exposed by courageous cleaner, tycoon took credit for woman's miracle work. Alma became a household name. She spoke on a major daytime show, signed a book deal on traditional care, and opened a community clinic funded by $2 million in donations. Universities invited her to speak about ancestral wisdom and whole-person healing. "Miss Alma changed my life," Noah told a Seattle Times reporter, eyes bright and steady. Now 10, he attended regular school, played soccer, painted bright pictures that covered the walls of the modest new house Marcus had moved into after selling the mansion. One rainy afternoon, Marcus found Alma in the clinic garden, tending the same herbs that had helped Noah. I came to say I'm sorry," he said, voice thin. "You don't owe me the first apology," she replied, handing him a sprig of lavender. "Start with your son, then with yourself. Worth isn't measured in a bank app." Marcus took the stem with shaking fingers, knowing he'd spent years scorning the only person who had given his child what mattered most, real hope. Noah raced across the path, laughing loud as he chased butterflies' wings he could see in perfect color. "Miss Alma, look, I see all of them." The woman Marcus once called just a cleaner had done what $3 million didn't. More than that, she'd left a lesson that wouldn't fade. Greatness isn't titles or fortunes, it's the courage to see value where pride refuses. As Noah drew a rainbow in his new notebook, Alma smiled, knowing she'd planted more than sight in his eyes. She had planted the idea of a world where tenderness beats arrogance. If this story moved you, subscribe for more, because real miracles show up when we stop judging by appearance and start honoring the quiet wisdom carried by humble hearts.